What is going on, everyone? I am Grumpy Koala, and today we're going to be taking a look at some lineups and setups for Viper on Fracture. Now, this is one of my favorite maps to play Viper on. So, what we're going to do here today is we're going to take a look at one setup and one lineup on each site for both offense and defense. So that way, whether it's today, tomorrow, or the next day, you can easily and quickly go into any game, start playing Viper on Fracture, and start winning some more games because you'll know exactly what to do, at least for the default methods. So without further ado, let's get right into this one. We're going to start off with B site on attack, and we're going to start off with the wall. So it doesn't need to be too exact, but I prefer to come over into this general corner, maybe not even all the way, and pull out my wall. And if we take a look at the minimap, you'll see that if I line it up correctly first, um, that this wall right here will cut off canteen, gen, any view from arcade, as well as it'll cut off part of tower. So if we put it up right here, and then put up the wall, you'll see that as you come out, they can't see you from anywhere, and it's a really quick, easy one to get onto site to plant default. Plus, then if they peek out, even from tower, they'll be taking some of your damage to make them vulnerable. Now, one of the great things about Viper, whether it's on this site or any site, is that besides her wall and her molly, everything else is relatively self-explanatory if you just want to play default. For her ult, it's almost always best to just ult site, post plant on offense, and then pre-plant or just as the round starts on defense. But for this one, we're going to assume that we're planting default. And so what you can do is you can put your orb just on top of it, just for all the lineups, because you want to make them vulnerable before you throw your molly. And then for the molly lineup on B offense, you're going to come over here to B main. You're going to look at this crack right here and walk into it. Now, once you get in there, you're going to want to pull out your molly, and you're going to line up the right here with the little target symbol for the mouse for the left click. I'll put an arrow on the screen as well so you know where. What you want to do is you're going to want to walk forward for about a half a second and then do a normal left click after that, like that, and we'll run up and see where that lands. You can see it bounces off the back wall, and then it lands perfectly in default. It covers everything with some change to spare, so even if you were to plant about right here, it would still do the trick, because along with that, the molly, or sorry, the orb covers everything that the molly hits. So that's about it for there. So let's go on over to A site. Now for A site on offense, the wall can be done from your own spawn as soon as the round starts. So to start off with the wall, all you gotta want to do is come all the way to this corner. It doesn't have to be all the way, I guess, there, but just anywhere in this general vicinity. But the wall, you want to aim it near top ropes and A link. So what you're gonna do when we open this up, you'll see that this covers A ropes as well as A link. And so we'll just put it down, and then we'll activate it and go take a look at where that ends up. So that way, when you peek through door, it will cover there, leave maybe a small area for their head to shoot, but either way, they can't really see out of it. And then from over here, you'll see that it covers link as well, so that way you can push onto site very easily. Once again, for ults, you can just alt post plant, but we're going to assume for plant sake that you're planting default right here, and so we'll put the orb here to match it, since that's going to be our default in this scenario, since it's always good to plant like behind that, since they won't be able to see you and you don't have to push all the way back. So what you want to do, if I can learn how to jump, is you're going to come all the way back to dish after post plant, and then you're going to come over to this corner right here. So you're going to see this rock right here. You're going to walk right into it, to that kind of where you're facing this crack. You're going to want to pull out your molly, and then you're going to see this tall beam. You're going to want to go about halfway up and just do a normal left click. So this one you can just kind of estimate. So after you do the normal left click, you'll come over here, and then you'll see that it lands perfectly in default. This one probably be safer just to plant exactly behind, either like right here so you don't get shot, and then it'll just be all good to go. Pretty simple, pretty easy. Just means you got to start from a. I really like this kind of like way of motion where you wall from A main, you get over to plant, you put your orb, and then while your wall is up, you can just like hop back up here, and then you can just go over there. It's a pretty good motion if you get, especially get used to it. Just make sure you have somebody covering the push out while you're, even if your wall is up. So now let's go take a look at the CT side. All right, to start off with A site on defense. I would say the wall that I prefer, also the site I prefer to set up mostly with Viper on Fracture for defense is a site. So first with the wall, I usually just walk right into this corner, and then you'll see on the mini map that there's really two options. One, you can cut off this corner completely, or you can cut off a door and make them peek out of there. I prefer to like cut off this corner, so that way they have to peek through it. They kind of can sneak through the door, but obviously you'll have somebody watching ropes or somewhere around there. Plus they'll have to, just walk out of the door anyway, so you'll hear them. So that's a pretty good one right there. We'll just put it up so you can see what it looks like. This way, this will cover push out of a main right here, even if they come to this corner. If you're watching from sight, boom, boom. And then when we come around the corner, they have to peek out of it no matter what, as long as they're coming over here, or they have to go through door and you'll hear them. So overall, really good wall. Can do it before the round starts. Super easy. As for the orb, I prefer to watch drop with the orb or just cover it there. So I usually just walk up and then do like a little simple right click. It usually works out pretty well. Obviously you can like figure out the best one to do. Like this one maybe should have been a little bit further back, but it's personal preference. I think that that's not a terrible one to do. You can always like come up here too and just like place it if you think that's easier. So just come up and then just be like, all right, where's a good one to put it at? Like maybe this one right here. And then once you activate that, that covers a lot better. So really just time, if you have time to put it right there, just whatever you want to, whatever you feel like. Both those work well. As for post plant on this one, or your molly, I shouldn't say post plant because I actually prefer to use the mollies on defense before plant, is you have two options. One, the reason I actually prefer the orb to be a little bit further out is because if I'm playing sight, I can actually preemptively guess when they're going to come out of drop, and that orb being out further will actually, I'll show what you mean by just putting it back up here for a second. When you have the orb sticking out, they'll take more damage over a period of time and not be able to see what's beneath them. So if the orb's like this, they'll take the vulnerability, and then you can throw a molly on the ground right here, and that means they have to drop into it. So if you hear them and you're here about to push out, maybe you see some flashes, this is a great opportunity to do some damage, maybe even get a kill before they even push onto sight. The other one I like to do is they'll probably notice that they can squeeze into this corner really quickly. If they go there, I've seen this many times before, so you can just pop this wall, you hear them flash out or something, you can kind of just like do a little bit right there, because this will cover the push out right here, as well as cover that corner, and they won't be able to push out. So that's my best strategy for playing on A site. I usually don't watch ropes, I'll just watch it with my gun at that point, or I'll have a teammate watch it. So let's move on over to B site. Moving on to B site on defense, it's actually my least favorite scenario to play on this map with Viper. I prefer either being an attacker or I prefer playing A site on defense. But I will say the one nice thing about playing B is ulting on B, because it covers so much of the site, and you can use your orb and your wall very well around it. So that's what I would say with that. I would say if you have ult, play B. Otherwise, try to play A with your abilities. However, if you have to play B, here's what I would say. I would say usually what I prefer to do is wall over here. So what you'll see is this cuts off the push out from B main, as well as cuts off kind of from their spawn. So they're kind of trapped in this little B tree to B main area. It works out very well. You can kind of see where it is, so I'm not going to put it up this time. Actually, I guess this is the last site, so actually, just in case, I'll show you one over there as well. So if you just put it up, and then it'll block out everything. As for the other side, if you want to, you can just put up a wall right here. Actually, sometimes what you can do is you can just, if you get over here quickly, you can actually cut it off from over here and then put it up before they can get ult point, and then you can just cover ult point and push out from there. However, I would say on this site, I would just stick with the one from B main. What you can do is if you do this wall pre-plant, or before the round starts, you can actually do your orb from here, and then either you can run up really quickly and just place it down halfway, so like right here, so that it covers everything, or you can try to bounce it. I'm not too good at that one. Then you come up a little bit more, and then you just bounce it, and then it'll cover most of it, or if you need to cover the other part of it, you can just like peek around it, watch for the push through. I know, not great, but that's that's the life of plan B site over here. As for Mollies, if you want to do the same thing that I mentioned on A, you can do it during pushouts. So when you put up the wall over there, you can do the Molly, or if you have the orb in arcade, you can Molly while they're pushing out. However, this one has a very simple, just like do-it-yourself kind of Molly for post plant for if they're doing default or if they're on site. So here you will be having to peek out a little bit, so it's good to have your wall up just so that they can't see from over there. You can just click it. It is what it is. See, that one covered a little bit more. Either way, I wanted to make this nice, quick, and easy. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. I'm sorry it ended on a bad note just because I really hate playing B-site on this map. But I hope you learned a thing or two. Hope you win a game or two. And without further ado, I will see you all later.